That's right, Ken Workington, a fellow Irishman and a smiling Irishman. Kevin McDermott is our special guest in the Sulky. Always have a smile on your face, always laughing, joking around. Do you ever get mad at anything?
Oh, yeah, a whole lot.
But you're not going to go in depth as to what really tees you off, huh?
No, short fuse, but I try to behave.
Okay, well, you've done a pretty good job of it so far this year. I'm sure you will have your moments as the season progresses, but you're off to a pretty good start, too, with a very strong barn. Probably the greatest moment of your career, though, was last summer, Hambletonian Day, Hypnotic Blue Chip in a division of the U.S. Pacing Championship. He set a world record. Let's roll in the Lomo here. Jody Jamieson was in the Sulky. What were you thinking when they passed the finish line?
I was pretty much broken down by then. I just was an emotional wreck, and my buddy Wayne Corbett always told me, if you can't enjoy the good times, then you can't enjoy no times, and I definitely enjoyed myself that day.
Well, it looked like you were enjoying yourself. If it was an NFL football game, we would have had to throw a flag for excessive celebration out there on the racetrack, and certainly had to be the highlight of your career. How's the horse coming back? I know he's qualified once so far, right?
He's come back absolutely super this year. He's a year older. He's better gated. He grew a lot. Qualify him again tomorrow morning, and then get him racing.
And where are you planning on starting racing? Over at the Levy?
No, we're not going to put him on no half-mile races at all this year, except for the Battle of Lake Erie, because those people were great out there. We're going to start March 26th at Woodbine Raceway in the Spring Pacing Championship.
Speaking of Wayne Corbett, he's your best friend, has been for quite some time. Is he still in the horse business? Do you have anything with him right now?
No, but he wants to get in. He has a colt with George Teague that they paid some good money for last year that hurt himself, and he's supposedly training back great. And I went to dinner with Wayne the other night, and he definitely wants to get back in and get a top-end horse.
I remember at one time he wanted to be a driver. I think he actually drove some qualifying races back in 2006. What happened with that? Just no talent, or what went on?
No, he actually had some talent, but as soon as the press got a hold of it, he has never won much for the press, and he just stopped. He just didn't want to do it no more. Come out, train the horses, but he just didn't want to go over there with the press all the time. He just wanted to have fun.
And speaking of the press, the paparazzi was following you around when you decided to become a driver at Freehold. That was back in 2006, and I seem to remember Cat Manzi and Georgie Brennan trying to shove you all over the racetrack, but you would have none of it.
Yeah, Cat, he tries to be a bully out there, but I took care of that, and I think I put a little scare into Cat when I started driving over there, but then I backed off. I went out a winner, so that's all that counts.
And you drove, 9 times, and you had one win and retired right then?
Yeah, my one win, the announcer's call was, got a feeling it's 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. He's almost on Route 9.
Well, Kevin, we all have our opinions about the drivers here, strengths and weaknesses. I know most of these guys are not only your friends, but you drive for you on a regular basis. So let me just throw out some names. How about Brian Sears, strength and weakness?
Very, very kind to a horse. Great horseman. He won 2 years ago on Hambletonian Day, 2 horses of mine in 49. He never touched either one of them with the whip. Get great feedback from Brian. Constant professional. Texts you after the draw if he's going to go with your horse or not. A1 Brian all the way.
And can you think of any weaknesses for the White Knight?
Yeah, in the summertime, he's out there checking out all the chicks over the rail. He's going to cause a wreck some night. But besides that, he's pretty good.
What about the Bionic Man, Tim Tetrick? You've had a lot of success with him.
Yeah, Timmy's a great horseman. He reminds me of a horse, Noble Falcon, I have. When he's sulking, he's just not worth anything. But when Timmy's on his game, he's as good as they come.
What about the Buckeye, Dave Miller?
That's the Ricky Bobby of harness racing there. You got to love him. He's from Ohio. He's a good guy, and you don't have a bad word to say about him.
Well, speaking of bad words to say, Yannick Gingras kind of took a little shot at you in the Sulky a couple weeks ago. He's the next name I want to throw out there. Strengths and weaknesses for Yannick.
I thought we were only going to talk about the top 7 drivers tonight, so I didn't give no thought to Yannick. But best way to describe Yannick, punk.
Oh, boy, that is tough. Actually, he's a great friend of yours, though, right?
Yes, he is.
How about Ron Pierce?
Ronnie Pierce, he's like 50% George Bush, 50% Charlie Sheen. Like, we should raffle off a day with Ronnie Pierce. It would be like a memorable day. You just can't explain Ronnie.
So if he's like Charlie Sheen, he's doing those internet website videos on YouTube right now?
I just can't explain Ronnie.
How about John Campbell? I know he's driven a lot of good horses for you over the years. The consummate professional, still very competitive.
Yeah, last year I walked up to John one night here at the race. I shook his hand and I thanked him. I think everyone in harness racing should know that John Campbell's done more for anyone in harness racing. He's the constant professional. He does everything he could possibly do to help the game. And I love John to death. He's just a phenomenal, phenomenal person.
And you've done a lot for him, too, because you bought Southwind Elian from him for what, $250,000?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for a kickback.
What about Andy Miller, the Orange Crush?
It's hard to put Andy in the top 7 at the Meadowlands when he's not even the best driver in his house. So, you got to think about that. But
so you'll use Julie Miller at Freehold before you would Andy Miller?
No, Andy's a great driver. Just Julie could outdrive him. That's the bottom line.
Julie says the same thing, too. What about your brother, John McDermott?
Absolutely no talent.
No talent whatsoever?
No talent at all.
And one last guy I have to ask you about. He's made an impact already here this year. Young guy from Illinois, Brandon Simpson.
Brandon Simpson was a great kid. Brandon, he had a good upbringing. He was in a rich family growing up in California. His father was a professional football player, O.J. Simpson, and everyone knows what happened in that case. And Brandon's a good kid. He come along great. He's doing a great job out here.
Tongue planted firmly in cheek. Kevin McDermott with his analysis, strengths and weakness of the top Meadowlands drivers. What about your horses tonight? Third race, you've got number 6, Natalie. Got her off of Jack Gray in Kentucky. That guy just loves you, by the way.
Yeah, Natalie's been nothing but a good horse for us. She's off her game right now, but last week we had turned her out for a week and we brought her back in and she was 100% better, and I actually already warmed her up tonight. And I'd expect Natalie to definitely hit the board tonight. She seems to be coming back around.
All right, that's one to bookmark. Natalie, the 6 horse in race 3. In the 4th race, you've got a trotter, number 7, Romeo Star. And I liked him last week. He didn't have much pop in the stretch. What's the story with him?
Yeah, this horse was bought on the advice of Jody Jamieson. He thinks the horse has some upside. I brought him down from Canada. He had definite tie-up issues. He was okay last week. He was flat. He made a winning move off the far turn. I expect for a huge performance from this horse tonight, 1,000% better effort.
And did you get any kickback from Jody Jamieson yet?
Don't even get a coffee from him.
Moving on to the 5th race, 2nd round of the overbid. Number 7, 'Cause She Can. Won round 1. I mean, a tremendous rating job on the front end there. You lose Pierce, but you get Campbell.
Yeah, I didn't even list Ronnie this week. I never talked to him or nothing about it. I just figured I'd go with John because I figured Ronnie would go with Jeffrey Brooks's horse. 'Cause She Can, she's made back $110,000 since Harrisburg. We give $210 for her, and I think she's a $210,000 bargain. She's just a beautiful horse. Shows up every week and gives her all.
Seems to struggle a little bit, maybe gaps back on the turns, but just keeps digging in the straightaways.
Yeah, and there's no reason, and she'll do the same exact at Yonkers as she does out here. It's just she seems to take that turn off. It's not lameness issues or nothing. She just doesn't want to pace the turn.
Moving on to the 6th race, number 5, Autumn Magic. Kind of off to a slow start so far this year.
Yeah, another mare that's been great for me. She's made me a lot of money. Sickness issues, blood issues. Last week, I think she finished up a lot better. That was just a dead racetrack, and John was happy with her, and he did take her back today over a horse. Expect her to race a lot better tonight. Can't say she's going to win, but she's going to race better.
And your last starter is in the 8th race is number 1, Go Get Him, and you co-own him, which based on his recent lines, that's just too bad.
Yeah, he was going to be a top PA sire horse last year. We'd win the final of the Lookout Hanover series there at the Meadows, and I actually turned down good money for him, and he fractured his coffin bone. And I think he'll be okay. I think, when we get to Chester and we get to the right class where he belongs, I think he'll come back around and be okay.
All right, Kevin McDermott, security is waiting to escort you back to the back paddock so you can warm up those horses safely tonight. Thanks so much for taking some time to join us, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dave Brower coming up next, so stay tuned to Racing from the Meadowlands.